Welcome, one and all, to the MindMesh podcast. My name's Chayton.
And I'm Fish.
And today, it's the weekend before Halloween. So we both decided, you know what? Let's get a little freaky. Let's get a little bit spooky. Yeah, let's get a little bit creepy up in here. And we're going to talk about the things that freaked us out as a kid. And like our own personal ghost stories, or like our own personal stories that have made us paranoid about certain things as a kid.
Our own supernatural encounters are what we like to think are supernatural, just creepy things that have happened to us over the
or
years.
like those odd like childlike paranoia fears, or like those off the wall fears that just don't make any fucking sense anymore.
I'll start off with one.
Okay.
Something I kind of think of to this day.
Yeah.
So you know those like ancient like Mesopotamian or Egyptian religions?
Yeah, no.
What if they were right and like we go to hell and we're just like being tortured by all of these like Egyptian gods?
No,
and everyone's just forgotten about this religion.
I've honestly like thought about this for a while. Like, of course, you have like the ancient Mayan calendars that's like predicting the end of the world type deal. It's like it's almost in the back of your mind. You're always thinking about when those movies release, or when these new archaeological digs find these things. It's like, what if? It's the what if question of what if they were right in the wrong sense of the word? Like, what if we took a major disaster that happened in 2012 and that's what that calendar was talking about?
That's true. I mean, was there a major disaster that happened in 2012?
You're asking me questions that I do not know. But what I'm trying to say is like it's one of those things where like these old ancient calendars or these old ancient sarcophagus from like Egyptian times or like hieroglyphs or anything like that. It's one of those things of like it truly is the what if game. It's the what if game of like, what if back in the day when these things were predicted, they were predicted as the end of the world events, but in our circumstances where civilization has evolved to such a point, they aren't seen as end of the world events. Because when you think back at those times, it's like if the
earthquake or like or a tornado
or volcano, the bubonic plague or whatever.
That's like a world-shattering event that would wipe out a whole village. And to some people, like an entire village is their world. You know.
Yeah, but to our day and age, that's like maybe one little tiny tribe in a third world country.
Or just one of those like undiscovered tribes, or not undiscovered, but untouched tribes in like the Amazons.
Yeah, no, like those videos of those drones flying above those African tribes that have never seen human contact, that are staring up at this drone. I'm like, you guys really want to film that? You guys really want to like desecrate their livelihood with this?
Yeah.
No, it's one of those things where like when you talk about ancient calendars or ancient hieroglyphs or ancient writings that depict the end of the world, it's one of those things where you have to take into account that their end of the world is so much different to ours now.
Yeah.
That you have to think maybe their predictions were correct, but not in the sense of what they were predicting.
Who knows?
Yeah,
There was something else I was going to say about this, and I can't really remember.
I'm sorry.
Speaking of like fears as a kid, I did kind of have that fear of like 2012.
Oh yeah, no, I solely when those whole like end of the world calendars happened when I was a kid, those did scare me. Like when 2012 the movie came out.
Yeah. That didn't happen around 2012. I think it was actually 2009.
Yeah, no. When those movies started to come out, those world disaster movies, I was always into them, but it was always like kind of like I watched them because there was a pit fear in the bottom of my stomach where I was like, wow,
this person's surviving this. This might be kind of how.
Yeah, this is how I need to survive. I should probably prepare. And I feel like there are many people in this world that like have
we could do an entire podcast on like doomsday preppers.
Oh yeah, no, because that is such a big thing.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how many people will just like fucking buy a bunker and like live in it.
Or just buy like a giant 1 gallon bucket full of freeze dried food.
Oh yeah, just to prepare, just in case.
No.
I think we have a friend that does that. I'm not gonna shout him out unless he.
Well, no, I truly feel like once I get older in age, I will probably turn into that person.
I mean, it actually might be a concern for us though, due to like all the climate change and whatnot.
Yeah, those liberal propaganda pieces. You mean?
Yeah, I don't mean to get all political here. Don't say that. People will think you're serious.
Well, no, I'm trying to play both ends of the spectrum because it's like, in all honesty, like there's things that people believe in, and things people don't believe in, and for me, like in my heart, I am kind of that middleman person where like I do lean towards one side of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's like I want to understand other people's opinions in the sense that I take them in. Do I accept them? No. But it's almost like if that's their judgment, if that's their mind saying, yes, this is truth, why do I want to try to change them for being dumb?
I don't know. Just maybe they're not dumb. I mean, if someone came to me saying like the Earth is flat,
that was me trying to make a joke.
I'm gonna go off on a different tangent. This is not.
No, that's completely fine. That is completely fine.
I'm not gonna go on that tangent. So continue what you're saying. Sorry.
Well, no, like dumb's the wrong term to use because I mean it goes into the whole ideology of how like brain waves work and stuff like that. But
I mean, some things are kind of like silly. I wouldn't say stupid or dumb, but I would say silly to not believe in, like climate change or like the fact that like dinosaurs existed and stuff like that.
Well, no, the
like
whole dinosaurs existed thing. Like if you don't believe that dinosaurs were once rulers of the earth, I can understand that. With climate change, there's so many differing opinions and so many scientific offerings to that where I can understand that. But that's solely because people don't look into how reputable their sources are.
That's entirely true. People,
I mean, you think about
surface value right now.
Yeah,
especially
you think
with
about
clickbait titles. A lot of people
exactly.
read titles,
and so many social media companies are like cracking down on that sort of stuff. Facebook is the biggest one I know of.
Singapore just passed a law a while ago that was it's like a fake news law.
Yeah, no, that's literally what Facebook has in place now. It's like if they look into your sources that you're sharing or posting about and they find that those are falsified, they'll literally just take those sources down. So it's one of those weird things where it's become such a high tier of what we need to take care of nowadays is making sure that everyone knows the truth. And it's so weird because the algorithms of these programs are still so bad that they're letting these falsified statements through. And because of that, and because people believe, oh, these programs are allowing only the truth through, they're believing the falsified statements that are coming through.
They're just kind of getting everything fed.
Yeah, they're leaking. They're leaking through the cracks, and which is why every year there are people that think, "Oh, the world's gonna end." Sorry to segue back into what we were actually talking.
Yeah, no.
about.
Other things that scared us though were like
that was the most seamless transition I think I've ever actually heard.
You've ever heard or you've ever done?
I've done some pretty bad segues.
Yeah, this is true.
But I know, look, I get the whole doomsday clock type situation and how it updates seemingly every 30 minutes, or they're like, oh, it's actually, I know we were supposed to die at midnight on this day, but it's actually been switched a year and now we're supposed to die at this day at this exact time. The doomsday clock always switches.
Oh yeah, it always switches. I mean, there is some scary stuff to worry about though.
Oh yeah, no, there are some very scary stuff to worry about, but that's not what we want to discuss. We want to discuss the things that scare us that shouldn't scare us. Yeah, I'm looking at you to throw
throw something back at you?
The snowball the topic and just throw it at your face. I want you to tell us what scares you that you know shouldn't scare you.
What shouldn't scare me? Okay. So,
Start off
Where-
simple with us.
Okay, so where I'm originally from,
Yeah.
I live out like in the middle of nowhere.
I've been to his family home and I can attest that it's down a dirt road, not gravel, not paved, a dirt road.
Yes, so I live out in the middle of nowhere, and a big fear for people living out in the middle of nowhere, just kind of like hitchhikers or strangers, kind of like
Yeah, just coming to your house.
yeah, or people breaking in, and you really don't have like neighbors to like help you out or to see that. So I've always heard like this creaking in my attic, and I still hear it to this day, and I still have this fear that, you know, there's maybe some fucking hitchhiker or some fucking stranger like lurking around in my attic.
No, I can agree with that because, I mean, I grew up in a small town as well, but I also grew up in a cul-de-sac where like your neighbor is literally maybe a house between you.
We have like one neighbor that's close to us, but still,
No, yeah,
it's still a scary thing. That
well, no, what I was saying is that back in the day, my father's truck was broken into. And from that day on, we were always scared of people breaking into our house in our vehicles.
Yeah.
So like it was one of those things where my dad was cheap enough to not buy a dash cam or whatever, but he was one of those people that bought those little tiny LED light boxes that if you plugged into a car port or a 12-volt port, it would just but it would blink red.
Yeah.
It'd be like, oh, there's a camera in here, don't come steal. But no, I have the same sentiment because I grew up in a small town, even though I grew up in a cul-de-sac. And I feel like even in a big city, when you're living in an apartment, you still have that same fear because it's like.
Remind me. Do you live on like an interstate town?
Sorta.
Or is it more?
I live on the town over from an interstate town. So it's like there's the interstate town that's big, and then I'm the town over that's super small because there's no interstate people coming off of it.
Because I think the scariest thing isn't living in the middle of nowhere, but living on like an outer road right by an interstate.
That's literally my town.
I think that's terrifying.
Honestly, if you got off the interstate into this town that's pretty massive and you drove about 10 minutes, that's when you hit my town.
And see those fucking houses that are right there on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's all my town's made out of. And then you have crazy back roads that last for miles upon miles that just have little tiny country homes.
That stuff's so scary to me. Like, just the fact that you don't really have neighbors, you don't really have anybody to like.
I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's kind of different to what you have because like you have like one neighbor and then it's just a dirt road. And then you have to drive like 5-10 minutes into the next town.
Yeah.
Like, that's scary to me because even though my town is super small, I still have neighbors a house over.
But yeah, exactly. What's also scary to me is like calling the police. The police, since we aren't in town, it'll take a lot.
Yeah, it takes a long time for them to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
See, that's the kind of benefit of being like a town over from the interstate is that we're still a town and we're still so condensed and limitly populous that a police department still makes sense. So we have our own police department. I live literally, or my family lives probably about 2-3 minutes from the police department because we're so tight knit in our population.
Bro, you want to know something terrifying?
What?
You know, without giving away where I live.
Yeah. Yeah. No. What's your exact address, zip code, everything? What's your social security number?
But you know the exit right by my house.
Yeah. No.
The interstate exit right by my house. So this couple was driving home on the interstate one night by that exit, and this car. They were passing this car. And as soon as they passed the car shot towards the window and killed the wife.
Are you for real?
They haven't found out who's done it. They don't know anything.
Okay, I will say there have also been really weird crimes in my town. Like I literally think months ago, a news report leaked from my town that a wife and a husband had like done double suicide on each other. And then when the cops came over, they found like 6 to 7 dead bodies buried in their backyard.
Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I remember reading it and I was like, what? My town of like under 2,000 had 2 people shoot themselves in like guilt.
And 6 people missing.
Yeah, no, and 6 people missing that were never reported before. Were just buried in their backyard. It was so weird, like and I feel like that's sort of a staple of small towns, is they all have those weird ass stories.
One really fucked up crimes.
Well, we say that
there are a lot of
my town has several fucked up crimes, but I won't go into that because my town is seriously messed up.
I mean, there's another one. Just like if we're just talking about weird ones.
Yeah.
During this summer. This wasn't in my town, but like a few towns over, still on that same interstate.
Yeah.
So they right off the edge of it, someone just found this burnt car, like it had been charred, with 2 bodies in it, in the driver and passenger seat.
Jesus. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like we're completely getting off topic.
We're talking about spooky stuff that freaks us out. We're kind of on topic.
It's less spooky stuff and more like just terrible, like gut wrenching stuff that like changes our mindset of the town that we live in. I want to know about the creaks in your attic.
That's true. I mean,
like the whole car burning with 2 bodies inside. Yeah. That's freaky, but I feel like that more changes a mental state than it more changes a paranoia state.
I mean, that's true, but I mean, those things take it to effect, or what's the way to word this? Those things factor in to like my paranoia of those creaks in the attic.
No, me growing up and my like fears as a kid definitely have involved in my paranoia and the weird things that did happen in my childhood home. But now I want to know what caused the creaks in your attic to make you paranoid. What was the cause of that? Was it the burning bodies in the car?
No, then those were just 2 things that have happened like in the past year.
In your town.
But I don't know. Just this weird paranoia of well, no, it's not a weird paranoia. We've had just random people come up to our house.
I've been at your house when random people have showed up.
Yeah, because people will just hitchhike because we do live a kind of off the interstate. Yeah, you live
closer to the interstate exit than I do.
Yeah, so we'll have people hitchhike and like come to our house and stuff, and it's really weird. And I mean, like, not to like dog on people that hitchhike if you hitchhike, but I mean, it's kind of weird just having like strangers randomly come up to your home that you aren't used to and stuff like that. So
well, it kind of reminds me of like, those internet videos where it's like security cam footage where they're revealing that, oh, this homeless man's been living in this crawl space in my house, and every night at 2 a.m. he crawls out to steal some of our food, and we didn't realize it until he got super hungry one night and ate an entire jar of peanut butter, but then left the empty jar back in the cabinet. Have you seen those videos?
I've heard those stories. I haven't seen those videos.
Yeah, no, there's videos online, and I remember one distinctly, and it's just it's a security camera shot of the walkway into the kitchen, and there's an air vent above the walkway into the kitchen, or like into the island space of the kitchen, and then all of a sudden, like at night, you just see that airspace open and slide back, and you just see this man just slip out and hang from the ceiling and drop and go eat stuff and then jump and crawl back into the air vent and then just close it.
That's terrifying.
I know. That's probably not accurate, but like that's how I imagine it, and that's how I remember it. It's just one of those things where like someone pops out of your attic, walks down to your kitchen, eats your Reese's Pieces, and then goes back up to the attic. And
I mean, if I found someone living in my attic, I would kick them out. But I would really hope that they were just really trying to find a place to live and not trying to hurt me.
That's literally what you.
It's like I feel like that's what that guy was doing. Yeah, no, he was just trying to find a place to live and eat.
Yeah, that's the goodness of a person's heart, where you're just hoping that like, oh, this person's been living in my attic without my permission and without my knowledge, and he's been stealing our food at night. I at least hope he's trying to do something better.
Like, I hope he's just trying to survive, not trying to hurt me.
No, but I feel like that never happens.
Yeah.
I feel like that's never the
I'm
case.
gonna, even if I feel that way, I'm not gonna be sympathetic and let the guy stay. He's got to go.
Yeah, no, I understand. But tell us about the creaking. I do. Yeah,
What do
no,
you
I
mean?
want. Well, you've been talking about this creaking in the attic. Like, just explain it, because all you've
Explain
been
it?
saying is like a creaking in the attic, and that could be
Well-
literally the house shifting type deal.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes when I'm home alone, or I feel like it's when I'm by myself or when there aren't many people at the house, that I'll just hear when I'm walking through the house, just like it feels like pressure's being applied to the ceiling.
I honest to God, when my house is super late at night and I'm still staying up and I have to like walk to the bathroom in the dark or whatever, or like even because the bathroom's right beside my bedroom. It's literally, it's a door over, but I still feel like tension because my bathroom's connected to a long hallway leading into like the living room.
Yeah.
So like I always feel this weird tension going from my room to the bathroom. It's maybe 3 steps.
No,
but there's always this weird feeling to me where it's like, don't look down that hallway. Dear God, do not look down that hallway.
It's just something so ominous about staring into like a hallway that's just like a dark abyss.
Yeah,
it's not even like like it's just the TV and the couch and everything's there, but still the fact that you can't see it and it's just darkness.
Yeah, you're expecting this weird shadow figure just to step out and be like, "Hey, you got any peanut butter?" So
yeah, that's what we're expecting.
Yeah, no, but I understand those weird creaks. My house settles I keep saying my house. I don't live there anymore, but it's like my childhood home.
Yeah.
Like it settled so much as a kid to where I understand where you're coming from with the whole attic creaking thing, because my house settled so much as a child that it was freaking to me, and we can continue that conversation of why it freaked me out after this ad read. Look, Fish, I need to know something. I need to know. Have you heard?
Yeah.
You have? Are you sure?
Possibly. You can tell me though.
Have you heard of Anchor?
Like the thing that's on like boats?
No. Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. I'll let you explain. You said you knew about it.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
Okay.
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah, there's
like absolutely free, no charge.
No charge.
Uh-huh.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Wait, phone? You can just pull out your phone
and edit your podcast right from it. And
that's wild. That's absolutely wild. What else does it do?
Well, you can distribute your podcast, or Anchor will distribute your podcast for you.
Where?
So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else. Many more.
Wait, so like Google Podcasts and all of those, you can hear it using Anchor? Oh my, really? What else do they do?
You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership.
No minimum listenership? Are you kidding
man.
me? You can just make money from making a podcast?
Yeah,
I didn't know you could do that.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Wait, so you're telling me that if our listeners want to make a podcast, all they have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started and make their own podcast?
Yes, that's all they have to do is download
all they have to do?
The free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
That's absolutely wild. What a great steal.
What a great steal.
Hey,
how
boys
did it freak
and girls.
you out, bro?
What? How did it freak me out? Okay, so I'll start this. I'm gonna do a nice little timeline for you. A nice little timeline. So my parents allowed me to watch rated R films as a fairly young child. I'll say that much.
How old?
Honestly, I can't tell you how old I was. I just remember I was young enough where I was in elementary school, or for you UK listeners, primary school.
Okay. I'm trying to think, would like rated R is in like horror or rated R is in like just like more vulgar kind of stuff? Or both.
My mom was a big horror freak, so I have fond memories of watching like Jaws and Saw movies and Child's Play with Chucky like at a fairly young age.
Okay.
But the one that honestly stuck with me the most was probably Chucky.
Really?
For the sole fact that my sister and my mom were very avid collectors of dolls.
Oh, I see.
My sister was very into Barbies, and my mom was very into porcelain dolls. And I feel like I watched Chucky and Child's Play before I watched Toy Story.
Yeah.
And I feel like both of those movies culminating together made me so freaked out where I was like, oh, toys can come alive and toys can kill me. So for whatever reason, I didn't think any of my action figures would come alive and kill me. But
just
the
those
entire
porcelain dolls.
Yeah, but the porcelain dolls my mom collected and the plethora of Barbies my sister collected, they would come alive and kill me.
Do you think that's because, like, I know what you're a fan of. You're like a Ninja Turtles fan.
Yeah, no.
So, like, they were obviously not human-like, but, like, the fact that, like,
Well,
the Barbies... No, that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that, like, your toys
Barbies.
weren't.
Yeah,
but the
my
porcelain
toys weren't.
dolls
Yeah.
and the Barbies were very, like, uncanny valley human-like.
Honestly,
like Chucky.
I can't explain it because I'm not afraid of them now. Like, do you remember Raggedy Ann and Andy?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, those were the porcelain dolls my mother owned.
I thought Raggedy Ann...
No, they were dolls with like weird X's for eyes and like
The
stitches.
plush.
Yeah, no. So my mother owned these porcelain dolls that were almost like American Doll-esque, where their faces were super real. Except in my mother's case, these dolls were glass-headed, but they had the red hair and they had the weird like Home on the Range-esque Pippi Longstocking dresses with the white apron type deal.
Oh, so like what?
It was like, what if Raggedy Ann and Andy were made into like Little Girl on the Prairie, American Girl type dolls?
Let me pause right there. That's that's really funny because, like, you know, the whole fucking spooky Annabelle shit.
Yeah.
It was a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
And it was like the stuffed Raggedy Ann doll, but in the movie, it's what you were talking about.
It's a porcelain doll.
It's what your mom had. Something similar to that.
No, so like growing up as a kid, watching Child Play and Jaws and all these horror movies at a really young age kind of fucked me up. But it's also like, that's still my favorite genre now is horror and monster movies. So it's like, it's kind of this weird like, this weird sequence in my mind because it's like, I love these things, but it's also as a child, these are the things that freaked me out.
I'm the same way. I loved Nightmare on Elm Street. I binged one day and sat through and watched all of...
Well, no, as I was saying with like Saw, there was one day, literally, I think it was last summer, where I sat down and I binge watched Saw 1 through like 7 or whatever.
I'm talking about like with you, like as a child, like
as a child. Oh,
I wasn't a child, but I was probably
a teenager.
I was either 5th grade or 6th grade.
So early teen.
Yeah, preteen.
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of in the same boat of like, I loved watching horror films, but they always caused a paranoia.
Oh yeah, no, they still freak me the fuck out.
So like with good old Chuck, I remember watching it and then vividly after, because when I was growing up, I never had like a television in my room, and I wasn't like afraid of the dark. I was afraid of silence.
No, I get that.
So I had a radio in my room that would constantly play. And of course, when October came, they would always play like, oh, there's a horror house in this part of the state or whatever. And like, there were always these creepy ads that would play like 12 or 1 a.m. Because of course I was a child. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that we relate to also have this exact same issue where they can't sleep at night because we have such bad sleep patterns. And so in October, of course, they would always play these weird, creepy ads. And then right after, well, no, it's not right after because Easter's way later on in like April, March type deal. But those would always freak me out at night because I hated dark. I didn't hate darkness, but I hated silence. And of course, I'm trying to fall asleep. And then all of a sudden you had these oogie boogie commercials like being like, oh, come get scared of this haunted house type deal. But after I watched Child's Play in like around March, April, I don't. I honestly, it's funny. I don't know when Easter happens. I just know it happens and then it's gone.
Well, the thing, this is a weird tangent.
Yeah.
About Easter, but the weird thing about Easter is that I've seen it happen in March, and then I've seen it happen in like late April. I've still been trying to figure out when
Easter happens.
like how people determine when Easter happens, because like
I think it's like the first weekend or the last weekend.
that makes no sense, because see, like I said, I saw it in like late March. One year it was like the 27th of March, and then like another year it was on the Devil's Lettuce Day, 420.
Oh yeah, that was
like
recently.
That was back in high school.
Was it high school?
It was high school for us.
I seemingly remember it
unless it's happened again in the past few years.
I seem to remember happening really recently. But no, so Easter rolls around, and of course, this is when I'm still super young watching these R-rated horror movies, and my mother gives us an Easter basket with like DVDs of not R-rated movies and candy and random little knickknacks and toys. And I get one of those like weird wind up rabbits, or well, it can be any animal, but it's one of those weird ones that have the plastic feet, and when you wind, it's almost like those chattering teeth type deal. You wind them up, and the feet like vibrate in such a way where it moves forward in random directions or whatever. So I got one of those in a rabbit form to be the Easter bunny, and it was purple. I remember it because it freaked me out as a kid. So I remember at night I would be sleeping and I would look at this rabbit, and it had those beady little white and black eyes just staring at me at night.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, even though it was like maybe 1.5 to 2 inches tall, for whatever reason, I was like, that rabbit could kill me. And I'd wake up in the morning and my brain would instantly be like, bro, that rabbit moved a centimeter. And it freaked me out until the point where I literally threw it in my toy chest, and I never found it as a problem again because I hid it away.
Well, I don't know if you count this as similar, but another thing that freaked me out when I was like really little, probably like 2 or 3, was we had this like, it was this VHS. It was some sort of like a baby VHS that was just like educational shit, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what it was. But I don't know why this freaked me out so much. There was a scene where it would just cut to the white. Like this white room.
Yeah.
Like I guess like what do you call it? Like an infinity wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like just some random toys spread out, and this baby like crawled across it. And like there was like the baby didn't cry or anything. It was just the noise. I guess it's almost kind of like you were saying, like a fear of silence. It was just literally just the noise of the baby crawling. And it was just like, I don't know, something about it just freaked me out.
That kind of reminds me as a kid, there was like a Barney special where they were in the like a backstage of a movie set or a theater or whatever. Yeah. And then the final shot after they leave, there's this like taxidermy donkey, and it just zooms in on this donkey until it's like super close to the eye, and then you just see a tear roll out of this taxidermy donkey eye, or like the eye sparkled or whatever.
Yeah.
Like one of those twinkling, like, I'm real type deal. And I was just like, whoa. This was a happy time story. And then all of a sudden this donkey decided it's pulling a Chucky Toy Story on me. And that's no good.
Another thing that freaked me out as a child, I know you didn't really watch SpongeBob much as a kid.
I was not a Nickelodeon boy.
Let me see if you know this episode though.
Okay.
The robot episode, the do.
No.
Do.
I remember. Wait, is this the robotic crab?
Like, not the robotic crab. It's when SpongeBob thinks that Mr. Krabs is a robot because he watches.
No, that's what I'm talking about. I remember a robotic crab. That's all I know.
Because he watches like a quote unquote horror movie to, of course, SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And it cuts to this like live action shot of like this really shitty robot chasing this dude.
Yeah.
And again, for some reason, this robot like chasing this man as like a 3 to 4 year old freaked me out, and it gave me nightmares. You know, something like that Or
go ahead, finish your statement. Because I was about to go on a big old story.
2 other things that freak me out. Of course, Courage the Cowardly Dog. And
God, yes.
And
what's weird is that never freaked me out.
The one that did was the fucking King Ramsey.
Yeah, okay.
The slab, that shit. That, and then, what was the other one? I just had it. It really freaked me out.
Reach up in the sky, grab it, pull it back to your brain.
Oh, what was it? Was it
on Cartoon Network?
I feel like it was on Cartoon Network.
Another weird one. Oh, God.
Besides it slipped from me.
Yeah, besides Courage, I can't think of another odd horror-based comedy.
Did Goosebumps ever freak you out as a kid? I liked it, but it never freaked me out.
I actually got more freaked out by the books than I did the show.
I feel like I read 1 or 2 of the books. I don't think I read many of them.
Well, what I was going to say earlier was that talking about Easter and all that, I just realized all the weird paranormal, like odd paranoia experiences that I've had have been on holidays.
Really?
Yeah, no. Because like as a kid, me and my sister would always just pull an all-nighter the night before. And I remember it was actually Christmas time. We were chilling in my sister's bed watching Full House, I think. Super late at night. And I remember there was a shadow of a person that like darted across our wall.
Yeah.
And of course, at this point, we both understood that like Santa wasn't real. It was our parents. Spoiler alert.
Uh-oh.
But we always knew it was them. So we saw the shadow like come across the wall. And of course, none of the lights in the hallway were on. So it was like the moonlight coming through the window of one of our rooms, like just reflecting the shadow. And so we saw the shadow and we were just like, that's kind of weird. I'm surprised our parents came on this side of the house for our Christmas presents type deal.
Yeah.
So like me being younger out of the two, I was brave enough to get up and go check. And I got up because the shadow in correlation was heading to the bathroom that my sister's room and my room shared.
Yeah.
So we thought it was one of our parents just pulling our presents, putting them on the tree and be like, oh shit, I gotta pee. So like I got up and I went and checked the hallway and no one was there. I went and checked the bathroom. No one was there. I went and checked the Christmas tree. There weren't any presents under the tree yet. And I just remember going back to my sister's room and being like, yeah, there was no one there. And we did not want to leave our bed until the sun was coming up. And that was the only year.
Like you told me this before.
Yeah, no, I definitely have told you this before. But like, that was the first year that as a kid, we didn't wake our parents up before sunset at like 4 or 5 a.m. We waited until the sun was coming up and was coming through our curtains. Yeah, because we were like, wait, hold on a second.
No,
if no one was doing that, who did that?
I got one more story for you.
Yeah, okay. Tell me. I want to know the deets.
Well, I think I've told you the story before, but yeah. I'll tell it again. This was back in high school.
We love horror so much, I feel like that's the only stories we tell each other.
Exactly. So, back in high school, I was hanging out with a few of my friends, and it was one of my friend's birthdays, and we went to this costume shop that we found, and his birthday's in April, so we went to this costume shop, surprised that it was open this time of year.
Yeah, no, because it's like the spirit Halloween stores. It's like they close. All of a sudden, they're just bare bones, and when October 1st hits, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're back."
Yeah, exactly. They
costume stores just don't exist past Halloween.
Exactly. So this was like a year-round costume store, so we were stoked to go in it. And he bought like a plain white mask that was just kind of like off-putting,
like kind of Phantom of the Opera, except not half face but full face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we go to another friend's house to stay the night, and so there's a total of 4 of us there. And said friend who I got the mask with goes, "Let's play a game, guys. Let's play a game called Demon in the Dark." And we're like, "What the fuck is this?" He said, "You guys just go out to the garage. I'm going to hide. I'm going to turn off all the lights. You got to run in and hide, and I'm going to come and find you."
Okay, so
it's like extreme hide and go seek.
Yeah, it's extreme hide and go seek, except it's almost haunted house-esque.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those haunted houses where you have to like sign the waiver.
Yeah, where like they're allowed to touch you.
Yeah, exactly. And so we go in and we all, for some dumb reason, we all decide to hide in the same place, my friend's closet. And he has two closets.
A classic place in all horror movies that will not get you killed.
Note there are two closets in this friend's room.
Yeah.
So we go into the first closet, all three of us. And immediately our friend finds us.
Yeah.
And for some reason, me and the friend who lives there decide to push our third friend out.
Sacrifice.
Yes, sacrificing him. And he pulls, should I give names? I don't know if I should give names or not.
Just call him friend 1, friend 2, and Fisher.
Okay. I'll call him friend 1, friend 2, and friend 3.
So you pushed friend 1 out.
Friend 1 is the quote unquote demon, since he made the game Demon in the Dark.
Yeah.
He is the demon. Friend 2 is the person who owns the house. Who is living there.
Yeah.
Friend 3 is the person that we pushed out of the closet. So friend 1 pushes friend 3 out of the closet. It's
so
me.
You mean friend 2, because friend 1's the demon.
Yeah.
So friend 2 push friend 3 out of the closet to friend 1.
Yes, because friend 1 is pulling at all of us, trying to get somebody out, and so we sacrifice him, and we just kind of hear muffled screamings and the slamming of the neighboring closet.
Yeah.
And then we hear him march off.
Uh-huh.
Or we think we do. So we're like, okay, it's safe to come out. So we go out and we jump on my friend's bed because we're in his bedroom. And we're basically holding each other. And we just have this gut feeling that our friend is behind my friend's door.
To his bedroom.
Yeah, behind the door to the bedroom. Because it's wide open and it's right against the wall. So we're like, oh, he's behind it, waiting to come out.
Yeah.
And we're staring at this door. And this is probably the single most terrifying thing in my life, just due to the situation around it.
Yeah.
The door slowly starts to
close.
slowly starts to close. And we're like, okay, he's definitely behind there. It's moving. And it shuts and latches with no one there. Yeah. And then we hear our friend on the other side of the house march into the room and try to attack us, I guess would be the word right words to say.
Yeah, no, I remember when we first met, you told me this story, and it has synced into my mind, because it's one of those things where, especially in the dark, when you can't see really straight, like, that weird, like, almost, when it's super hot when you're driving down the road and you see those heat waves.
Yeah. It's like an illusion.
It's like almost an illusion. Like when you're in the dark, you almost feel like you can see but can't see.
Yeah.
Type deal. Where like you could be in the dark and you feel like you see movement. But the difference is that that door was open, and then that door was closed. Because when he left and when you guys got out, the door was open and you were waiting for him, and you saw the door close and latch, and then he came back in. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's to the point where that was not an illusion.
Yeah, it's not, because we were the moonlight was still coming through the windows enough that we could see the door clearly.
Well, it was also, I remember when you told us the story, you asked the friend 1 about this after the fact, and he was like, what?
No, friend 1 had no idea that this had happened. Like, we thought that maybe like somehow he like pre-thought this and like had like tied a string to it or something.
Yeah, and
nothing. He had no idea that had happened, and that's what was so terrifying to us.
It wasn't that he heard the door latch and that's what caused him to come back to that side of the house.
I feel like that's what would have, because like it was almost like a couple seconds after he heard, like after the door shut, he came back. So I feel like the actual sound of the door shutting is what brought him.
Back to us. I remember you telling us those stories, and honestly, it's scarier than the weird shadow people I saw on the walls as a kid, because it's like that's physical.
You just can't.
You can't explain it.
I don't know if it's just like the way, if the house was just kind of built on like a uneven, like the foundation is just a little uneven, it causes the door. Yeah. But still, like, even if that was, what explains it to have enough like force to latch it?
Yeah, no, because especially in my house, it does take a little bit of a push.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can close a door, but you still have to push it like a centimeter for it to latch itself.
Yeah, exactly. It can't just like close all the way. It kind of like gets stuck right there when it like gets close, and you got to push it to fully latch it.
Yeah, no, childhood scary experiences are a dime a dozen, and they really do mess you up as you grow older.
Oh yeah, it causes you to have weird paranoias. Because I feel like even when I get older, I'll have these.
Yeah, no, you'll still like at night
these paranoias of like the creaking and whatnot.
Yeah, no, at night you'll still be like, oh, it's dark. Even if I have a TV on and yada yada yada, I'll still want to get up and close my door. Type paranoia.
I kind of get weird when I'm back at home, and my closets, or I sleep with my closets open.
Yeah.
I for some reason that just has an uneasy feeling to me. I don't know why.
Well, no, I sleep in my closets when I do visit home, or really even here. Like I have to sleep with doors closed because just that ideology behind it being dark and these doors are open and it's even darker inside of that space.
Yeah, it freaks you out.
Yeah, no, that's what gets me. It's kind of just that aspect of like, it's not the dark that scares me. It's what can come out of the dark that scares me.
I mean, I wonder if that's just some like human
nature predatory thing. I'm sure it is, in all honesty.
Like, and that has to be like being afraid of the dark and like the unknown, just because you don't know it's there, and it could be something dangerous. I mean, if we're thinking back to like people, hunter and gatherers, you have to worry about like wild animals coming and attacking you.
For sure. But Fish, let me tell you a little something. I'm sorry to cut you short.
You're not cutting me short.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about cutting myself short. I'm hopeful. We didn't even get to talk about some of the weird like YouTube video things that we've gotten into. Maybe we'll save those for a later date.
Oh, we can always do that.
Yeah, no, we can't always do that just randomly and sporadic. Yeah, no, it's just if we want to go down the rabbit holes that we used to follow as kids, like this is literally the time to do it. But if this has been the MindMesh podcast, and if you would like to listen to us, this is released every Monday, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, which would be like 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And catch us on YouTube on Wednesdays, right?
Yeah, on Wednesdays at the same time. We do release on Wednesday 2 days later. So the podcast platforms we release on, which, are ever evolving every day. The main one that we're on is Spotify, and I think we just got released on the Google Podcast Store. Cool. So it's like we're ever evolving. Yeah, on Anchor. So it's one of those things where if you want to listen to us and you have your favorite podcast app or listening device, search MindMesh and you might find us. That's the way to do it. We're ever evolving. We're ever getting on new platforms. So if you don't find us one day, the next week, search us. You might find us. But with that being said, my name's Chayton.
And I'm Fish, and we'll see you later, guys.
Yeah, make sure to tune back next Monday for some more MindMesh.
Goodbye, fellas.
See you later.